Welcome to another episode of Single Out with Purpose for Passion and Power, a space created for singles where we have meaningful, heartfelt conversations about singleness, relationships, purpose, and finding our own space in society as single people. I am your host, Adana Kambi, and I'm so happy that you're joining me here today. Our conversation today is one that I am quite certain a lot of people would love to be a part of, especially women, because we are going to have a male's perspective today. Yes, many times we hear society asking women, when are you getting married? You are getting old, the time is running out, your biological clock is ticking. What are you doing? Where is the man? And all the pressure is put on the woman to rush into relationships. Last week, we spoke with Pastor Eloise Hines, and she was talking to us about taking your time to get down the aisle. Today, we are speaking with a man, yes, to get his perspective in terms of are men under the same measure of pressure as women? My guest today is a songwriter, a music minister, and a minister of the gospel, Minister Edward Ted Jones. Good evening and welcome.
Hi, Adana. Well, thanks for being here. I'm happy.
Right, and I'm happy to have you here this afternoon with me. And of course, my guests are also happy to have this type of conversation.
Hi, guest.
Now, as you're aware, Single Out was created to have conversations about the things that single people go through, whether it is societal expectations, whether it is pressure from the church, whether it is pressure from their families, whomever it is, and just wanting to be a part of a marriage, something, a union, whether it is a friendship situation. I was telling some of my past guests on the program and even some of my friends that I find myself in so many different categories of being single, as in I have friend groups, but I don't have a group of friends together as a girls. So I will have a friend here and I'll have a friend there. None of them are really friends together.
Yes.
But I do have people who love me immensely. So that's another type of singleness. And then the singleness that most people are tuning into this podcast for is about not being in a relationship, not
Yes.
coupling up. And you realize that mostly women are contributing to the conversation because society has made it. I mean, the woman is a childbearer. She has to, provide that measure of she has to add that to the family. She has a major role to play in contributing to the family. But I want to ask you some questions this evening, and I really want us to get into this conversation because I want to know. I'm not a man, so I don't know. I don't know what men think, how they feel about this conversation. I don't know if they get the same measure of pressure that women get, and I don't know what the talk is on the block. What do men talk about? Sometimes women are like, "Oh my God, I want him to be tall, dark, handsome. He must have this job," and these types of things. What do men say on the block? What is the thought process
Right.
when a man is single? Does he have that same kind of
Yes.
pressure of stress and pressure?
Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me. I'm really glad to be here. And I think because I look at the program, so I'm happy to be the first male.
Yes, you
Just
are.
letting you guys know that. But to tell you the truth, yes, there is a bit of pressure that we are under. The truth is because relationships, I think, is so important on the both sides of the scale. There is pressure on both sides. The difference, though, is that I think society and the way we are all cultured and brought up, the pressures are different. We see the pressures you are under. We see that church communities, for example, can put women under pressure, for example, when you're getting married, physiologically, for example, your biological clocks and those type of things. Those are things that we see. There's the pressure that men have, though, tend to be more from a performance perspective. We want to be able to first and foremost ensure that we reach a particular status in life that is usually self-inflicted in terms of our own standards that we put. Especially if you are a guy that has some modicum of ambition, then you would find that there are certain goals you want to attain. So for us, it is not so much that the marriage, it is preparing for that person that we are bringing in. And that is an extreme pressure. I think one of the problems as men we don't do is that we don't vent those pressures much, because most of these pressures are self-actualizing. So it's like, if, listen, I have to attain this, I have to become financially this. We actually just recently we were having a conversation, and one of the guys actually was saying that, um when do you notice that we as men, when we get a pay raise, or when we get better in society, or we get a better standard or a better status, it is at that point we start looking, hey, it's time to settle down now. So we find that that's the pressure that we do. The other thing is that as time passes, as men, we also notice certain things. We become more mature, well, ought to. We become more mature. We become more settled in our skill. We become more proficient at the things we do. So that also adds to us a certain amount of confidence. Now, that air of confidence is not even so much seen by us, but it is seen by women sometimes. So you find that what you call the older men, or the older guys, past your 35 into going, there tends to be a certain amount of settling that can be attractive, but as men, we don't see it. So we only hear about it, and we keep pushing for that. So that, I think, is part of what, the pressure, if you want to call that. The other one is this, is that pressure that happens again is symbolic. It is that pressure that when you see the father of your intended bride walking down,
Oh Lord.
what what that is telling us is a certain amount of, I have confidence that my daughter that I have taken care for all these years, I am now handing this precious one over to you.
So this is something that you guys think of before you engage someone to marry? You think of these things, that her father is going to be saying these things or thinking these things before he hands it over to you?
Subconsciously, we all think that. And that's one of the reasons why we hesitate. Because part of the reason, are we ready for this? Now, the thing is that men love. But the way men love, from my observation, the way men love is from from a position of providing. And what now blocks our perception of love is how well we can provide. So I can like a girl. I can even have feelings of love for that girl. Massive feelings for love. But I am stymied by, can I carry this person? I remember, like talking to guys, who are about to get married, and the major concern is, oh boy, this is a heavy weight. You know, there's this joke sometimes that goes that when girls tell their friends they're getting married, there's excitement and jubilation. Yay!
Let me see the ring. They want to see how big the ring is.
That kind of thing. And when men tell their partners they're getting married, it's like if the fellas look like if, well,
We lost another one.
yeah, how you got that disease though?
Oh my God.
No, not disease in a negative way, but how it happened though?
But this is so strange. And it's so strange but very interesting. Because when a woman is thinking about marriage, and in the conversation we had last week, the typical woman, you're thinking about what you want the guy to be like. That's all you're thinking about, what you want him to be like. He must wine me, dine me, he must have a good job, he must have a plan for the family, and he must have all these things. And that's what she wants the man to have. And here is this man thinking, do I have a good job? Do I have a plan for the family?
That's a
Oh
fact.
my gosh. And I'm talking to my guys on the block, and they're like, dog, you sure?
Yeah.
So
Because the thing is that I know you, bro, you can handle a woman though. And then not only that, but Proverbs 31 talks about that particular type of woman. And the truth is that a good woman is also a crown for a man. So when you see now, and who is a girl? Because obviously your friends would have seen you dating this girl for a while. And if the girl has a standard, if it's a good girl, then we all as brothers recognize that this is a good girl you're dating. So we in ourselves would have our own weight of responsibility in terms of recognizing, boy, can brother J can he handle this? It's always subliminal. It is never, to me, a responsible guy always thinks about the responsibility of carrying a family.
It's so different because the pressure put on women is vocalized. Their girlfriends ask them that. They ask themselves that. The church asks them, so many people. But here it is, a man asking himself this question. No pressure from his other male friends. No real pressure from the church. I've never heard the church asking a man, so when you ever marry and settle down,
That's
you
right.
always hear them ask the woman that, but the woman cannot marry herself.
That's true.
So the societal pressures, though they are different because one is vocalized loudly. I'm telling you, it is vocalized loudly. And the other one isn't vocal, but it's still as heavy as the one that is vocalized.
It's extremely heavy, and and we hear it from the other side because when it's vocalized loudly, both male and female hear it, right? No, in the sense of like good ladies, young ladies in the church, they are beautiful. They have all of their shape. They have all of their productive life ahead of them. They have all of that, and they are at their best physically at that point in time. However, what happens at that point in time, most ladies have what you call where, oh gosh, I can't remember the name, but that's where they look to marry upwards. Everybody have a hypergamic, right? There's a desire, obviously, to marry a guy who is taller than you, who is
Stronger than you.
who is more, who has authority, who could make things happen so that you feel safe. So obviously what happens is that girl, that woman looks for, and naturally it's wise, you don't look for that kind of person. Most of your peers in a society like this will not have attained that particular look. So what you would find is that most of your peers who may be in the church around your age, in many cases, right, may not actually fit that description. And if they do, they usually, especially in a church, they would fit it by virtue of the fact that they may be a music leader, or they may be a young pastor, or they may be somebody moving positively in the church direction. So that in itself is attractive, right? With the men, what you find happening is that as they get older, because of the stresses of life, you find that one of the things that men can declare that they want is a peaceful kind of life. The woman that can bring them peace, is that person that is most precious. I don't know if you remember this story once about this king, and he had 3 daughters, and the daughters were supposed to bring gifts to them, and one brought, I think, lots of money, and the other one brought like a car, and the other one brought just a little vial with salt in it. And the one that brought salt, the king loved her so much because the salt, just a simple thing, just added so much flavor to his life. And the thing is that most men also have that as part of it. Could I carry this woman? Would this woman even allow me to carry her? Because we now, remember, we live in a society now where a lot of women are A-listers. A lot of women are, in fact, if you look at the results in our universities and stuff, women are graduating in increasing numbers. I just saw a celebration 2 days ago of a graduation in one of the universities in Trinidad, where 76%, or was it higher, of the graduates were women. Where are they going to get men? I wonder if you understand. So they now either have to settle down, right? But then women are naturally hypergamic. So that means that it is difficult for you to love somebody that you can't admire. So we men now have to try to be admirable. And we say, oh my gosh, how are we going to be admirable?
But let me ask you this, Minister, said not to cut you off. Do men actually desire marriage? Because let me tell you, a woman is cultured.
Right.
from as early as she can say goo goo gaga because they
Yes.
stick a baby doll in her hands or they stick some kind of stuffed toy and she has to start practicing her maternal instinct on this thing. And
Yes.
so if I have maternal instincts, how am I going to be a mother? I must have a man.
Yes.
So from as early on, girls are cultured to desire marriage, to
Yes.
desire a family, to desire that type of thing. Do men actually really want to get married? Do they desire marriage? Do they? Oh my God! When I get they would say, "Oh my God!" They would say, "Oh my God!" They would say stuff like, "You know what? By the time I am 30, I need to get my act together because I really want to get married. I want to find a good girl. I want to build a family. I want to settle down." Do men actually say those things or feel those things?
I have never heard a man
Me
say in
either.
my life, I have never heard a man say that by 30 I must be married or by 35 I must be married. However, it's a very good question because the results and the benefits of marriage men do want, but it is not necessarily marriage in itself. And that's an interesting trick. So men, as I said, want the stability of it. They want the support that can come with marriage. They do want the family life. They want the peace. Men are very, very, very big on legacy. So we want legacy. We want our children to grow up and call us a strong dad. Men love that. And part of the fact that we love that means that marriage is the rite of passage to get that. But that does not fundamentally mean that men look at marriage as the end of the game. We look at it as the process to get that which we desire, which are the bigger things to me, like the committed wife, the life of support, the comfort, the peace, those things that can come with marrying the right person. Yeah, I mean, every man wants that. And every man speaks about that. And strangely enough, they speak about it and say, well, yeah, let me tell you how it comes. It comes almost as, at the end of the month you get a paycheck. So you know that here's what you just have to do the work to get the paycheck. So you talk about the effects of it, right? You talk about those things, but you marriage we understand we must do to get it.
So let me ask you this, right? I want to go back to the ring thing because we're talking about the reaction of women and the thought process of men.
Yes.
So you see earlier when we were talking about when a man asks a woman to marry her friends huddle around and they say, "Oh my gosh, we're so happy for you. We're gonna throw a bridal shower for you and we're gonna go dress shopping and oh my gosh, let me see the ring and all like that." Do men really care about those things?
Men because men love our women and men do.
I like speaking to, not to cut you across, but I like speaking to an intelligent, articulate man, and I like where you're going with this. So continue.
Yes, because men love our women, it is very important to us to do things like the ring, making sure that the wedding is perfect because this is the woman that I love and this is her special day, right? Could it be simpler? Every man won't mind. I wonder if you understand. There are very few men that would ask for a bigger wedding. I wonder if you understand. The lavishness of the wedding is really to please that person that we love so much. The size of the ring, right? All of those type of things. Let me tell you, historically, the size of the ring and the design of the ring and the cost of the ring, for example, there's a saying, for example, that it must cost, is it 7 times your salary or something like that? All of those things are things that men decide that, listen, this is what we want to do. These are little standards that we put into the whole mix because of how important that woman that we have fallen in love with is. So yes, that's a big day, but I just want you to know it is a big day because we as men we know how to support those that we love, right? And that's part of it. Now, in terms of is it a big deal for us as men? Let me tell you this. Again, this is the truth. I have never seen a man go off on his ring. You understand? As a matter of fact, what you can do. I'm not saying that they don't have men that won't, but I'm saying that I have never seen a man go off as this way. And let's look at it. If you even look at ring sets, if you look at wedding ring sets, you realize that the beauty of the entire system of a ring set is in the woman's ring. The man's ring is just a band, right? Sometimes, I feel out of sympathy they throw one or two diamonds in it. Other than that, but this ring tells women that listen, tells other people, listen, this man is for this particular precious woman, and they hold that. So for men and for the ladies that are listening, if you all are listening to us, let you know, I'm telling you guys that we men will do anything. And that's what we talk about when we love a woman. We will do anything to make sure that you're comfortable and happy.
So here's one thing I want to ask, because I asked this on the flip side in terms of our women getting support from the older woman, teaching them how to prepare themselves for this man who she desires, tall, dark, handsome, rich, could do all these things, could fix the plumbing issue, he could be a mechanic, and all these things. That's what she wants from this man. I asked the question, is anybody preparing her for him? Because he wants some things from her. To, as you mentioned, to be his peace, to provide support, comfort, to make his home, take care of his children. Are men having those conversations with younger men? Do you think that measure of support is there? Or is it something that is innate in men? Because you mentioned before, we don't really talk about the pressure. We just know that there's a pressure on us internally and we deal with it ourselves.
Yes.
Do you have the conversation, or is it an internal thing as well?
It's more an internal thing. I must admit that I don't think that the conversations are enough. I think especially in the past, it was definitely taboo to talk about those things. But because we are living now in an enlightened society, I think more and more men need to. So we don't. I am confessing, we don't enough. But I think especially because of how our ladies are growing up. I have my daughters, for example, and they're growing up and they're growing up very educated and that kind of thing. They also have a dad who is very close to them, that kind of. So obviously, any man coming in would have a dad like me as a standard. So obviously, it would be good for that guy to talk to me, right? It would be good for myself and other men to really start telling men how to stand up. And I think it is not even so much about how to treat the relationship. I think very importantly, remember I told you that internally men struggle with being able to attain certain goals, being able to attain their purpose in life and those type of things. I think once men can find themselves societally in that place, then Adana, I really think that they would find themselves automatically being good men for their wives. Because part of what women need, as far as we found out or what we realized, at least what we've been told to us, is that they need good leadership in men. And if, for example, we can't find a way to imbibe leadership in our young men and in our boys and in our young men getting to older men, then what we have to do is that we have to train them in that. Especially in a society where we said that 75 to 80% of graduates are now women. How do we now find our own niche and still stand out so that we are admirable, right? As I said, it is impossible. I tell men all the time, it is impossible for a woman to love you if she can't admire you. So you have to find a way to become admirable, become that beacon in the life of that woman. So basically, that's where we go. And then, because we men also know that and again, that's part of the story of love. If we love a woman, we are like horses and lions in a circus. We can have their power to devour you, but we will submit, in a sense, to what she wants. Oh, you like those curtains? All right, cool, yeah, I'll get them for you. Sweetheart, you find I getting fat? No, I find you looking very good.
Listen, this looking like if we need to pivot back. Something you said earlier, and I want to focus on the pressure that men go through. and you're talking about the expectations of a woman to a man. But a man under real pressure, a man is under a lot of pressure
Men are under extreme pressure.
to come up to the standard of what a woman who has taken the time to invest in herself, because she now understands her value. We started this podcast talking about understanding who you are, your identity in Christ. A woman who understands her identity in Christ, her identity in the boardroom, her identity, her role as a woman, who understands who she is, as you said, would want a man who is more than who she is.
Yes, who she perceives to be more than who she is.
Right.
Yes.
And so the pressure really is on men. And history will show that investments have been made in girls, as I mentioned before. You always hear from the time they're born, they throw a baby on them. Nobody ever threw a baby at a young boy and still learn to change a diaper.
That's right.
So he has to be playing catch up. So I understand now the pressure that men are, and honestly, I never thought about it this way before.
Yes.
But I understand now the pressure that men have to be under to ensure that they are attractive to women, and not just any woman, but the type of woman who they think can bring that peace and comfort to them. So hats off to you men,
Yes.
for first of all identifying that you need to come up to scratch.
Yes.
And I'm talking about the men who are preparing themselves for marriage, the men who understand I need peace in my life. I'm not an island.
That's a,
So I'm going to need support. I'm going to need somebody to encourage me. I'm going to need, when a business deal goes wrong, I need somebody to tell me, babe, you can do this.
I tell
you.
I tell you. And you said something there about independence. The funny thing is that men already recognize the futility in independence. So we know, we hear the talk all the time about an independent woman, but men don't ever try to get that label, because we know that independence in itself is such a well, beside being isolated, it puts you in a position of danger, right? You really want the pack mentality. You want to be able to flow, to cooperate with other men. If you're stalled on the side of the road, I mean, you want to be able to know that there are brothers you can call. Those things are important. So when we hear about the whole concept of independent woman and thing, we kind of chuckle to ourselves, thinking, well,
She doesn't even understand what
what
independent
it doesn't
means.
mean. But we understand, and we think we understand what you all mean. But the truth is that it doesn't mean anything really. Bigger countries, for example, are trying to come together, and little countries trying to stand alone. You know what I mean? That's just basically how it looks. One of the things that I also want to say is that, and I mean, I know that men would also be listening to this, is that to the brothers out there, we would really want them to know, find a way. Right? And this is basically where I and some of the other brothers that I know will come in, to find a way to find yourself. And finding yourself does not only mean dealing with men alone, because I'm telling you, I can give thanks to so many women who have stepped into my life to bring me to the place I am now. Because I also had lots of insecurities, insecurities are crazy to men, right? We operate so subpar because of our own, what we tell ourselves. The Bible is really beautifully when it says, listen, let this mind be in you that was in Christ Jesus. Because the thing is that we have so much of we have so much doubt sometimes, that we really injure our own selves. We really sabotage our own selves. I know some of the brothers will be screaming at me, but Ted, look how many times we went and did the right thing, and we told our hearts to women and all of that. That's true, but that's all part of the development. Because the thing is that, remember, we were not complete. We've had feelings for somebody. That's a part of all men's story. We had feelings for a lady. We stepped to the lady. We didn't step to the lady by ourselves. 10-1. 10-1. Some one of our brothers push us and say, go and tell she something, You went, the lady backed you down. You feel rejected, but that's part of the whole process. You wheel and come again. You get better. You come again, right? And the truth is that always remember this, for the men, is that time tends to be a little bit more on your side because your value as a man only really starts to accumulate after you're in your mid 40s going up anyways. And because of your self value starts to go up, you begin to become much more attractive because of the very nature of things that women find admirable. So you could take your time and build yourself. Don't try to run too quick. And I guess I would partner with Pastor Hines on this. It is not the time to necessarily be running after girls or anything like that. Build yourself. I think one of the problems that as men we do is that we tend to feel like if girls running away.
And there's so many of us just waiting on you guys to come up to scratch. And but what I like is the fact that you've had experiences, you've heard men, you've found the time to find yourself, you've invested in yourself, you've identified the areas that you needed to come up to scratch. Yes. And I like when you told the young men to find a way to find yourselves, and that's a perfect place for us to. I want to go on and on and on and on and on until tomorrow morning talking about this, because it's a really good conversation.
Yes,
and there must be a part 2 to this. But viewers, for our young men, because the conversation really is, are you under the same pressure as women are? Because we under real plenty pressure. Society, they're not kind to us at all. They want to know when you're having a baby, when you're getting married, the blue boat picking you up on the other side. But men also face the same pressure. But here's what my brother Ted is saying to you guys. If you are looking for that comfort, that peace, that support, that help me to give you those things, find the time to find yourself. Remember, your identity is in Christ Jesus. He is the one who will guide you. He has put people to help you, to support you, to bring all the things in you that you need to throw away. And of course, to invest in the things that you need to develop yourself, to be in a place where I could find one of you guys, or one of you guys could find me, and we could walk on the aisle one of these days. But that's not what this story is about today. But we're just having fun here on Singled Out, of course. We're going to continue having conversations, real life conversations that single people face, questions that single people want to have answered. And of course, we're going to bring results. But remember, you are single, not just waiting to be chosen. You are becoming. I am Adana Kambi, and this is where we end this episode of Single Out today. And I do hope that you will join us for more episodes. But before we go, remember to subscribe to this channel, like this video, leave a comment so we know where you stand, and of course, share with a friend or two as we continue to grow this community. Until then, see you guys.